quiz hot shot. This house is $585 and this house is $389. Why is the difference so huge? That is an eye-watering 50% difference in price with the same age and same square footage home. If you haven't guessed already, keep watching and we will talk about it. Houston is enormous, and it would be foolish to try to break down each area and tell you why it is priced how it is. But you know what? Screw it. We're going for it. Each region, north, south, east, and west, is like its own kingdom. I'm going to go through each from most expensive to least and tell you the unique characteristics that will show you why it's priced the way it is. Any guesses who is the most expensive? It is the West region. This may come as a surprise, but I promise it will make sense in the end, and here's why. Reason number one, it has the highest rated school districts in the Metroplex. There's 60 school districts in the Houston area, and the kingpin is none other than Katy ISD. With Cypress Fairbanks also in the overall Western region, it rounds out the West as having very, very strong schools. Most families want to put their children in strong schools, so it is definitely a driving force in the price. Reason number two is the infrastructure is pretty well established. You have multi-lane major highways coming in and out of the area, along with all the commercial development around the neighborhoods. And I am not saying that the other areas don't have good shopping or restaurants. However, of all the suburbs, the West is the most diverse in restaurant types, as well as having the most shopping choices when it comes to big box stores, especially malls and outlet malls. Number three is location, and while this might seem obvious, but the West is an easy commute to a major employment sector, oil and gas. We have the energy corridor sitting basically inside the Katy area. Number four is the West Side has the most variety of new home communities and older home communities that are all zoned to top-ranking schools. The West tends to have new construction available in semi-established areas, whereas other regions, the new construction tends to be in underdeveloped areas, which keeps the pricing a little lower. And number five is lower risk of flooding compared to, say, somewhere like the East or South. However, y'all, it still has a solid chance. Nowhere in Houston is excused from flood risk. Pricing is driven by demand, and for reasons we discussed, demand is high in the West. Similarly, prices are also relatively high in the South, and let's dissect why. Number one for this region is location. Honestly, the South suburbs probably have the easiest commute into the city and major sectors like the medical district. Number two is school rankings in the South vary widely. There are some pockets that have districts ranked just as well as the West, but overall it has some areas that bring down the average. By the way, I'm getting all the school ranking data from HAR and great schools. You can check out those links below. Number three, the neighborhoods in this area are so well manicured and the colors pop just a little bit brighter. Sugar Land has the well-known and very established town center that is pretty good. In general, it's just a really nice area. One of the biggest reasons it's just a touch more affordable than the West is because this area is geographically blocked by the coast. So there is no room to expand Sugar Land and many of the other southern suburbs that have been built out and are a little bit older now. Also, the chance of flooding is a touch higher down south. Obviously, the closer you get to the coast, the more likely water will be an issue. But next up is the north. The Woodlands is the Sugar Land of the north. It's the anchor for the entire region, and the Woodlands in particular has really maintained value and appreciated over the years thanks to the schools and master plan community. However, what makes the north more affordable than the south and the west is that the Woodlands is already built out. A lot of the growth is now in surrounding suburbs, which have not seen the same amount of development as the west in terms of infrastructure and commercial. Also, the school district rankings way up there have not had the same amount of time to marinate in the property tax dollars. Historically, schools tend to improve with time and dollars, so they need a bit more time to catch up. The Woodlands, however, is a stud of a school district, keeping the average in the north high. Also, another reason is the location. The Woodlands is far, and Conroe, where the new homes are, is even further. The traffic to and from Houston can be pretty daunting, so it feels less connected to Houston as a whole. Basically, the homes and communities are very similar to the west and south, but you are getting a discount because you are further out of Houston and have less things around you. Not necessarily a bad thing. Some people actually prefer this. Now, speaking of being isolated and out there alone, no region does that better than the East. It comes in as our cheapest region of the four. Number one is collectively the school districts have a B average, which is not bad at all, but again, not as high as the other regions, and most people flock to the best, so it can put a damper on the demand out there. Number two is location. There is a lot of great recreation out in the East. It's close to the bays, there's Lake Houston, lots of hiking in state parks and golf courses, but this takes up a lot of space. So not only is it landlocked from further expansion, but it's also further from the major sectors. This all brings down the price just a bit. And number three is flood risk. The east side has historically been hit pretty hard by flooding, and again, it's because of the bays and lakes and geographical characteristics of the area. It lends itself to going underwater fast. Number four is that the east and southeast are pretty landlocked, so no room for growth that way, but northeast has seen a significant amount of new construction. The reason it is more affordable than other regions is, again, it's being built in rural land. It will take several years for all the development to catch up. Needless to say, this doesn't mean the East isn't a good area to live in. A lot of the pricing has to do with the age, the infrastructure, and the school districts within each region. In 20 years, it could all be different. The Roman Empire rose and fell for reasons, so can any of these regions. Some could rise up and others could fall, as the benevolent queen once said,
"They're all just spokes on a wheel. This one's on top, then that one's on top, and on it spins, crushing those on the ground."
Well, the last part is a little grim. No one is getting crushed to the ground except people who purposely go slow in the fast lane. They might. So anywho, I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap. I hope you found this video helpful. If you want more help navigating, buying, building, or selling in Houston, email me, and me and my assistant would love to help you out. Until then, I will see you next time.